This is DMG, and in this video we're going to talk about difficulty level and dice in 7DSystem. So in the previous video we talked about dice equaling difficulty, and this is the core of how the mechanics of the game works. So to make it easy, so you're not going D2, D4, D12, D20, we represent difficulty as numbers from 0 through to 8. Now you say, well, hang on, you said there were only 7 levels of difficulty. Well, yes, 0 and 8 lie outside of the 7, so I'll explain that. So we are using numbers to represent a dice, just to make it easy to convey this to the players, and as the director or the GM of the game, to make it simple to just blurt out a number. At difficulty 0, basically any ordinary person is going to be capable of doing this. So we define an ordinary person as an ordinary, healthy, no problems, etc. The ordinary person will be able to do this, like climb over a wall. You know, if the wall is chest height, an ordinary person should be able to climb over that without any problem whatsoever. However, if they were being chased, then the difficulty may increase to difficulty level 1. So this is where we get into the actual numbers. So at 0, no roll is required. So when we get to difficulty levels 1 and 2, difficulty level 1 is easy and difficulty level 2 is hard. So there's a quick jump from easy to hard. Because difficulty 1 is a 50% chance that you'll be able to succeed. So it's 50-50. And that's represented in D2s. You have a 50-50 chance on a single D2 of actually completing this task. D4s, on the other hand, which is difficulty level 2, is a 25% chance. So it's immediately more difficult. So that's why it becomes hard. Okay. So you can see that it's starting to progress very, very quickly. So when you're early on in the game, or you're just starting out, you want to hang around in the difficulty levels 1 through 3 and occasionally visit difficulty 4. Anything beyond that is going to, it's going to be really taxing for early players. So when you're starting out the game, you're going to really hang around that 1 to 4 mark. So difficulty 3 to 4 is very difficult. So I'm going to round the figures here, but there's a 17% to a 13% chance. So difficulty 3 is a D6, and difficulty 4 is a D8. So that's where you get the 17% and the 13%, and I am rounding. And then when you get to difficulty 5 and 6, you're now using D10s and D12s. So that's going to be a 10% and an 8% chance of this happening. So what you can see happening now is that the difficulty, they're getting closer together. So there's only a marginal difference between them. But this will come into play when we talk about progression, and that will be in a future video. And then there's difficulty 7, which is a 5% chance because you're using D20s. So rolling, there's a 1 in 20 chance that you're going to succeed, and this is almost impossible, or nearly impossible. Again, we're talking about ordinary people here. So for an ordinary person, a difficulty 7 roll is a 5% nearly impossible task. Obviously with heroic characters, this becomes a different story because they'll have more dice and they'll have more of an opportunity to actually succeed. And so you need not worry about that in later stages of the game, when more advanced characters are able to roll these kinds of numbers. And then of course there's difficulty 8, which is impossible. It can't be done. So again, this is an ordinary person. They can't fly. So if they don't have wings, they can't fly. That's difficulty 8. For all intents and purposes, it's just a token number. So basically, to determine the difficulty of something, the director merely says to the player, this is difficulty X. So they just choose a number from 0 to 7, and if it's 0, everyone can do it. It's not a problem. So there's no need to roll. Just continue on. But if it's easy, difficulty 1. If it's hard, difficulty 2. If it's very difficult, then difficulty 3 and 4. If it's extremely difficult, then it's difficulty 5 and 6. And if it's basically impossible or nearly impossible, then it's difficulty 7. Now, there is a Patreon exclusive video that goes into the probabilities that start to change when you're adding additional dice. So if you're interested in that, that will be available to Patreons. As a player, you can reference the 7DSystem reference sheet, and on there it will have the difficulty levels and which dice is that. So the players can reference that, and every player should have a profile sheet for the character and a system reference sheet so they can reference all these sort of things. So effectively what starts to happen is you're removing a lot of crunch away from the director or the GM, and you're putting some of that work onto the players. So traditionally the DM's having to do quite a lot of figuring out. Here it's a simple number, thank you, roll. So as we go through the rest of the game mechanics, you will find out how this system permeates through pretty much the rest of the game in various different ways. So this is the core system that you'll be using. So if you like this video, click the like button. I urge you to subscribe so you can find out more about 7DSystem, and you can also check me out on Facebook and Twitter /7DSystem. And if you'd like to support this channel, check out patreon.com/7DSystem. Thank you very much, and I will see you next week in the next one.